Hi, class. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the road ahead in being successful in your programming classes, as well as this class. You are super brave to take a programming class online. Some of you are just flying through. If you feel like you need a little bit more help, don't forget the Speckman Tutoring Center is available, and they have a lot of students over there that have taken Java and can really spend a lot of time with you working through it if you need that. I know some of you are further away, and I'm always available via email, via Skype. You can come up and meet with me, so whatever you would like to do. Remember, you're learning a new language here. How long does it take to learn a language? Should you be able to do it on Monday night? I know I can't. How long does it take to learn French? Or does it take even longer to learn Japanese? Well, it depends kind of on your background, doesn't it? Now, no matter what, it requires practice, because practice makes perfect. I want you to think about practice because it sounds like an easy concept, but can someone else practice for you? Can you ask somebody else to help and lean on them and learn as much on your own? No, you know you can't. And as a person that's being leaned upon, you need to be very careful, and you need to use a lot of integrity and think about what is fair for you to share. What if you share something that took you a really long time to figure out, and of course you're really proud of yourself, but you share it, and then that keeps another person from having that learning opportunity. They lose out on that experience because they were just given that answer. So be very aware that sometimes your sharing can detract from other people's learning, and I know you don't want to do that. So what if you're in a huge panic and you just can't think and you're screaming and reaching out for help? Well, try to take a recovery break. Take some deep breaths. I know it can be hard. The counseling center at OTC in the ICE building also is really, really helpful, and they can give you some great suggestions on how to do some relaxation exercises or how to prepare for exams and all sorts of awesome things that will be really helpful to you. They've been helping students for many years. So if you need that help and you don't know how to take a break, I know it seems hard to take a few minutes to talk to them, but it'll be worth your time. Then when you do well, you get an assignment done or even just get a line of code to work, congratulate yourself because you did a really great job. Be nice to yourself. Of course, not too nice, but pretty nice. Another issue that we need to be aware of is data integrity. As software developers or programmers, sometimes we're considered the keepers of the data because we're responsible for writing the programs that create and manipulate and update the data. So we have to be very, very careful to keep the data integrity intact. So in our student mode, we don't have any real production data. We're not working with people's social security numbers, things like that. But we do have specification data from our textbook. So sometimes our textbook says you have to use the number 7, and in that case, we have to use the number 7. That's different from when the textbook says supply your own test data to test your program, because then you can make the test data be whatever you want. Of course, you need to make the test data test your program. In the real world, we'd be looking at real data versus test data. So I might have a company that works with data information about employees or different types of people, but they're not going to be working with real names and social security numbers when they're working on their programs to test them. So we have to make sure that we don't alter the data. So in our mode, we can't change the data that came from the textbook because that would be like fraud. So the same kind of thing would be if I worked for a bank and my end of month report was $10,000 off. It wouldn't be okay for me to take that $10,000 from your account, would it? Just to make things come out right? No, couldn't do that. So in the same way, we can't change that data from our textbook. So let's think about that population program. Kudos to those of you who just figured it out and did it properly. This is information that should have been sticking in your head from your 120 class, but I know sometimes information doesn't stick that should, right? It happens for all of us. But let's think about that one for a second. That exercise had to do with a standard thing in programming called a rounding problem. And here's an example of a rounding problem. We divide the number 3 by the number 2. If we put the result from that division into an integer variable, that result is going to be 1. If we put the result into a variable that carries a decimal place, like a double or a decimal, that result is going to be 1.5. So then if we did some addition on 2 instances of that division, and we were using integer variables for our intermediate variables, we would end up with an answer of 2. If we do that division and then add our results and we are carrying a decimal, we end up with an answer of 3. So which one is correct? Well, obviously the 3. So this issue is a rounding problem, and it occurs when we don't carry enough decimal places. So in this example, I have no decimal places, definitely not enough, but we could also have scientific applications or accounting applications where we carry several decimal places, and in our calculation we don't carry the decimal places out to the right level of accuracy. So the rounding problem is a common issue. That's why this assignment was given to you, because it does address this problem. So if you lost some points on it, you can correct that and resubmit it, and I'll take another look at it. And we want everybody to get to the end of the class and have their wonderful A. So we just wanted to make sure you were really clear on this problem, that it's not okay for us as programmers to be altering or manipulating data, and it's a very fine line as to how much information we should share with others when we're in a student capacity. That's very different than being at work, where we want to share information freely with our coworkers. So let me know if you have any questions, and especially specifically about this. I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.